Hello, and welcome to Tank Trouble Milestone 2. So, in our progression of our Tank Trouble game for this segment, we currently are at Milestone 2, and the requirements for Milestone 2 were to create fully fledged and flushed out AI components for multiple different enemies, each with their own personalities and abilities or functions. So to start, we have one controller, just called AI controller. It's a pretty large script, as it does hold a lot of different things for different AI, but they all tie in together and work really well. So first, new things, we have these variables to control the waypoint systems. And then here we have a list of the 4 different AI personalities, which I go into more description in this Word document. So basically, the 4 types are the guard, who essentially is on a basic waypoint patrol system and will stay on that until they see the player using a raycast and a field of view variable. If they see the player, then they will move into the attack state. You have the kamikaze, who, similar to the guard, stays on a patrol, but when they see the player, instead of going into an attack to shoot them, they chase the player and will explode both of them should they touch each other. Then you have the sniper, who acts almost like a guard tower. They sit off further from the other tanks, and essentially it just rotates constantly, and then if it sees the player, it will shoot. But it can see the player from much further away. Its main downside, though, is that it cannot move. And then lastly, we have the coward, who is also on a patrol system, but when they see the player, they just run away. They don't even try to attack because they're a coward. So here I list, as previously stated, the 4 different personalities, and here are their different states. The patrol, the search for the sniper, chase for the kamikaze, attack, and flee. Here we have variables to account for the current personality and AI state. And here we have the switch, which essentially just allows the user or the developer to adjust what personality is set to which enemy, and then it calls upon the different methods for each of these personalities. And then we have the change state method in order to change what the AI is doing at the time. To start, we have the guard tank, FSM. They start off on patrol, and then if they see the player, which is another method I will get to in a bit, they will then change to the attack state and will attack until they no longer see the player, and then they will go back to patrol. Kamikaze is pretty similar. The only main difference is that instead of going to attack, it just goes to chase, and then will return to patrol if they don't see the player anymore. Sniper, again, very similar in structure. They see the player, they will go to attack, although I have a different variable set up for their sight distance because I wanted the sniper to be able to see from further away. But like the others, if it no longer sees the player, it will go back to searching, but can attack if they do see them. And then we have the coward, who looks for the player, sees them, decides if it wants to run away or not, which it will, and then it sets it to run away. Here we have the patrol method, where we set up to be able to move at the tank data set move speed, and rotate at their rotation speed, and will always go to the set waypoints, which you can adjust in the inspector. And it just constantly goes through the same 3 set waypoints until it sees the player or dies. Here's the chase. Very simple and basic. They see the player, they will rotate towards and chase after them, as it suggests. And then we have the search method, which essentially just has the AI rotating for eternity. The attack method has a set timer for when the AI can shoot, so it's not shooting a bullet in less than a second. The check for flee, which is just to make sure that the player is visible and that the AI wants to run away. And then we have flee, which is almost identical to the chase mechanics. It instead just makes them move away from the target, whereas chase made them move towards. And then here we have the C player, the C player method, which has a vector to target, angle to target, to help determine the field of view, and then it will shoot a raycast out and to check and see if the player is within sight. If it is, it will return true, and then will go into the different state as shown previously. And then down here we have the shoot method, which, as stated, will shoot out a bullet and have it deal damage, which I covered in the last video. And then lastly is the collision detection, to see if they collide with the player, and if they do, they blow themselves up as well as the other object. Currently, the only other script that changed was Tank Data, and that one was very minor. The only main differences were 3 new variables: the sight distance, the sniper sight distance, and the field of view variables. Now in the inspector, you can see I have the 4 different tanks. Here we have the guard. So he will be the one who just stays on patrol and attacks like a very basic guard. Up here we have the kamikaze. Much further away we have the sniper, and then here we have the coward. And they are each set to their own 3 different waypoints, so that way they will all move as necessary. And then here we go. As you can see, the player can still move and shoot, just like before. And you can see them all on their patrols. It might be a little difficult to see, but the kamikaze in the back is rotating constantly. It would appear that there is a minor bug in that they are not actually detecting the player. And I am not really certain as to why. But hopefully that can be fixed within the near future. I will make sure that that is adjusted for Milestone 3. And that is the progress of the project at this point. Thank you very much.